Hello, John Meyer here. I've got some new sounds for you this week, but until we get to those sounds, I want to share with you a new idea I have regarding the samples that I've been making. I'm still going to give them to you for free, but I have been thinking about trying to make some money off of these sounds that I've been making for the past year or so. So what I'd like to do is keep releasing sounds even more often, once a week, maybe twice a week. And they'll be available for you to download for a short period of time, and you can keep them and use them forever, obviously. But I'd love to get your feedback on ways that I can improve them. So if I do decide to monetize them down the line, I'll have feedback from you on the user interface, what knobs should be on the front panel. I like the sounds that I'm making, and if I can just figure out how to package them well, so maybe I could ask for some money from you down the line. But until then, let's talk about this week's sound. A couple weeks ago, I released a video talking about recording and sampling the Fun Machine. Joel sent me all the files, and when I went through them, I realized that this is not going to be one instrument. It probably needs to be 3 different instruments. It's going to be the all-in sounds, which I'm giving you today, every sound engaged, the violin, flute, saxophone, etc. And then there will be the individual instruments, hopefully that will come later, followed by the percussion section, which is its own thing. So this week I'm starting out with the organ. I've already showed you how we mic'd up the organ, so this week I'm going to walk you through how I took those sounds that I got from Joel and chopped them up and put them into Kontakt, and then I'll give you a brief demonstration of how I might use the sounds in my own projects. Let's start off by taking a look at the instrument. As you can see, I've got a new look. This is my first attempt at creating my own knobs and sliders. I used Knobman and of course relied on David Hillowitz's tutorials. And I also took the basic instrument that Angus Carey helped me create and used some of that code to make this work. So if you get into the guts, you'll see that a lot of the names are wrong, and I'll try to sort that out eventually. But for now, I just wanted to get the basic controls that I know I would use for this particular sound. So let's hear what it sounds like when you play all of the notes here. So it's a simple organ sound. This is all of the instruments engaged on the Fun Machine. So violin, flute, saxophone, maybe a clarinet. No, I think no clarinet. But they're all engaged, and this was the first sound. I got sidetracked with creating the instrument and spending all my time on the design that I only had time to chop up this one sound, and I hope to have the rest for you soon, the individual instruments. But you can see right off, I've got controls for the direct sound, the close mic sound, and the far mics. So here's the direct mics. Very buzzy. And you have the close mics. Much deeper, low frequency energy there. And then the far mics. You can really hear the room. I like quite a bit of direct signal. You can bring up the low. The close mic helps bring in some of the low frequencies and make it a more powerful sound. I have a cutoff. And a resonance control for that cutoff. I like to assign it to CC1 so I can do and then I have a basic ADSR. Or I can make it real choppy. And that is all you have to manipulate on the front panel. If we go in and look here, we have our script, and then we have the different groups. You can see where I ended up putting the samples. My friend Joel Cameron did the editing for these samples and sent me this, and this is what I received. And these are the individual sounds. There's a taste of what you'll get eventually. So much of what I like about sounds is how they are mixed and how they are treated. And so it's always important to play something in the room on the instrument so you have something to then listen to and mix the individual sounds to. There were some mics in the way, so I was trying to play without touching the mics, and so I've got this little piece. So that's the direct sound. If we switch over here, we have these 3 tracks that are going into a close bus, and I'll turn off the processing for now. And you can hear each one. That's the PR30, 47 style microphone that Joel spoke of in the last video, and the 545. Which, if I understand correctly, is similar to an SM57, but don't hold me to that. I bussed all those together and I mixed them in a way that I thought sounded good. And then I added some EQ. I brightened it up a tad, dipped some low mids, and did that trick where you boost and cut on a pool tech, and it gives kind of a pronounced bump at 100 hertz, and then a roll off after that. Then I ran it through this plugin, which I like. It's black box analog design. A friend turned me onto it. It's the HD2, and I'm giving it some saturation. Mostly I hear this air function, just brighten up and open up the top some. And then I followed it up with another EQ. And that 1 to 2K range was a bit nasally, so I brought some of that, added a little low frequency and top, and then rolled off, but not much at all. This next group of mics are the 770s and the mics that were made to act like it's our head listening and our ears and in that position. What's that called? I'm going to remember as soon as I stop recording this, but you can go look it up. Some nice imaging there. You can really hear the room when it lets off. And then I did very similar treatments on the plugins. EQ, some saturation there, and then some more EQ. I messed around with the trim forever to make sure that things were in phase, and I think I got them where they need to be. So that's how I approached all of the instruments, and then I chopped them up. Plenty of videos on how to do that. Chopped them up and loaded them into Kontakt. And now we have the instrument. Some ways that I might manipulate it. I use decapitator a lot. I demonstrate that in my videos. Roll off some of the bottom end, add some drive in the in Neve style, I believe that's what it is. And you can adjust the tone. I love these simple plugins that allow you to do these broad strokes. And then I added VMR, and why did I add that? Let's see. I think I wanted to add some of that 3K top. Give it a little bit more edge. And then I always like to mess around with some kind of octave pitch plugin. Adding in those harmonics, starting to sound more like an organ. More like a traditional organ. And then I added Phase Mistress to get that phasey sound here. Let's hear what I've got. So you can manipulate that to taste. Obviously, that's fairly audible. You could do a more subtle version of that, or you could go over the top with it. You hear that rotary sound in a lot of organs, so I was trying to replicate that. And then, of course, pretty heavy-handed tremolo. And I'm using Sound Toys, which I use all the time, as you know, if you've watched my videos, but nothing I am doing requires Sound Toys. Any type of pitch shifting plugins or phase plugins or tremolo plugins can accomplish the same thing. So that's it. That's the Fun Machine organ. I do hope you enjoy these sounds and find them useful. And I'd love to hear your thoughts on my ideas about turning these free samples into something that people might pay for. It scares me to death to think about that, because if I give them to you for free and you don't like them, well, I gave them to you for free. But if I put a penny on it, well, people are going to demand some things that I don't know if I'm quite ready for. But I'm going to move that direction even if it doesn't happen, and I hope that you will join me along the way. Until next week, take care.